Wyoming mountains. These mountains are so beautiful, but they are indifferent. Late November. Early winter had already settled into the high elevations. The forecast had called for light snow, nothing unusual for someone experienced, like Hunter B. There was nothing dramatic about the sky that morning. No ominous clouds, no violent wind, no cinematic warning. Just a pale Wyoming sun hanging over a frozen landscape. Hunter B. had checked the forecast twice. Light snow possible in the afternoon. That's all it said. He wasn't inexperienced. He wasn't reckless. He respected winter. But mountains don't need recklessness to become deadly. They only need timing. He parked at the trailhead mid-morning. A thin crust of snow layered the ground. Boot prints from other hikers were visible. The forest looked calm, tall lodgepole pines, quiet ridge lines, with distant peaks framed against soft winter light. He adjusted his pack. Insulated jacket, thermal base layers, knit cap gloves, 2 protein bars, 1 metal water bottle, folding shovel, knife lighter, headlamp. Enough for a winter day hike, not enough for a siege. He locked his car, texted, "On the trail, back before dark," then stepped into the snow. The first hour was uneventful. Snow compressed beneath his boots. Breath drifted in white clouds. Ravens moved overhead. The silence felt peaceful, the kind only winter creates. But winter silence can be deceptive. Around midday, the temperature dropped subtly, not dramatically, just enough to make him zip his jacket fully. Then the wind shifted. The shift wasn't loud. It was directional. Colder air slid down from higher elevations. He looked up. Clouds were forming, faster than forecast models had predicted. Low, heavy clouds. Snowflakes began falling earlier than expected. At first it felt calm. The flakes were large and slow, but accumulation builds quietly before it becomes dangerous. Within 30 minutes, the trail began softening. Within 45 minutes, footprints were filling in. Hunter turned around to reassess distance. That's when he noticed something subtle and chilling. His outbound tracks were already fading. Mountain weather can accelerate violently. Snowfall intensified without warning. Wind surged across the ridgeline and dropped into the tree line like a funnel. Visibility decreased from hundreds of yards to less than 30 feet in under 20 minutes. The forest lost its depth. The sky merged with the ground. Whiteout. In whiteout conditions, shadows disappear. Contrast vanishes. The horizon dissolves. Direction becomes guesswork. Hunter slowed his pace. He attempted to retrace his steps, but snow had erased the defined trail corridor. The forest now looked identical in every direction. He checked his phone. No signal. Battery, 61%. He put it back in his pocket. The wind increased again. Snow now moved horizontally, stinging exposed skin. Temperature with wind chill dropped below 0. He felt the first surge of adrenaline. Lost. Being lost is not immediate panic, it's denial first. He reasoned, "I'll just angle downhill. I must have drifted left. The trail can't be far." He walked carefully. Each step in deepening snow required effort. Snow reached mid-calf, then knee-height. His pace slowed dramatically. The storm showed no sign of weakening. A daylight began dimming earlier than expected due to cloud density. He checked the time. He had underestimated how far he'd come. Cold crept into his gloves. Moisture from snow contact began soaking fabric. Wet insulation loses heat retention rapidly. He realized something sobering. If darkness falls while he's still moving in this storm, survival odds drop sharply. He stopped walking, and that decision may have saved his life. Hunter scanned for terrain advantage. Wind-loaded snow often forms deep drifts against tree clusters or rock outcrops. He located a large drift packed tight against a stand of dense pines. It was nearly shoulder deep. He began digging immediately. Every scoop burned calories. Snow caves require a small entrance, upward sloping tunnel, raised sleeping platform, ventilation hole. He carved inward, angling slightly upward, so warmer air would remain trapped inside. His gloves became soaked. He rotated them inside his jacket to preserve dexterity. Darkness fell fully. He worked by headlamp. Snow reflected light intensely, making shadows harsh. The wind outside roared violently, but inside the forming chamber, quiet. After nearly 90 minutes of digging, he crawled into a hollow just large enough to curl into fetal position. He punched a ventilation hole through the ceiling. He sealed the entrance partially with snow blocks, leaving airflow. Then he crawled inside. Inside the cave, temperature stabilized around the low 20s Fahrenheit, still freezing, but shielded from wind. Wind is what kills first. He removed outer wet layer and replaced it with drier insulation from his pack. He rationed half a protein bar. Calories were, now, currency. He melted small amounts of snow using a lighter and pine needle sheltered near the entrance. Hydration prevents hypothermia acceleration. Shivering began. Shivering is involuntary heat production. As long as you're shivering, your body is still fighting. He checked his phone briefly. No service. Battery, 38%. He turned it off. The cave ceiling began forming frost from his breath. Sleep came in fragments of 10 to 20 minutes. The storm continued all night. At home, his friend grew uneasy. Hunter was disciplined. He didn't disappear casually. Calls went straight to voicemail. Vehicle located at trailhead. Authorities notified. Search and rescue activated. Weather grounded aircraft temporarily. Ground teams waited for safe movement conditions. Fresh snowfall eliminated tracks. The search area expanded rapidly. Every hour without contact complicates rescue probability. But survival in snow caves can extend time dramatically, if properly built. Morning brought gray skies and lingering wind. Hunter crawled out stiff and dehydrated. Snow had buried the cave entrance, partially overnight. He cleared it carefully. Water bottle frozen. He used body heat to thaw small amounts. His food supply, 1.5 protein bars remaining. Cold weather increases caloric burn up to 4,000 to 6,000 calories daily under stress. He had maybe 600 total calories left. He made a calculated decision. Stay near shelter. Improve insulation. Reduce movement. He expanded the cave slightly and deepened the sleeping platform. He dug a small cold air trench inside so dense cold air would settle below where he lay. These small survival details matter. By late day 2, early hypothermia symptoms began. Mild confusion, slowed coordination, emotional swings, intense fatigue. He forced himself to stay mentally active. He recited phone numbers, repeated dates, kept brain engaged. Cognitive decline in cold is subtle at first, dangerous later. Night 2 was colder. Storm had passed. Clear skies create radiational cooling. Temperatures dropped below -5 degrees Fahrenheit. Shivering intensified. He barely slept. Day 3 dawned clear. Aircraft deployed. From 800 feet, A human is nearly invisible against snow. Search teams looked for disturbed snow patterns, dark contrast objects, smoke movement. Thermal imaging struggled because snow insulates body heat. Search grid narrowed based on likely travel distance before stopping terrain barriers, hunter's experience level. They predicted he would seek shelter in wind-protected areas. But there were thousands of such locations. Hunter woke weak, muscles slow to respond, hands stiff. He powered on his phone. Battery, 17%. Still no signal. He resisted the overwhelming urge to walk downhill blindly. Statistics show most winter fatalities occur after survivors abandon shelter too early. Instead, he made a powerful decision: increase visibility. He used pine branches to stamp large, dark shapes in the snow near his cave. He created unnatural lines, straight edges that don't occur naturally in snowfields. Each step drained him, but contrast saves lives. That night was the coldest. Clear sky, no wind, air temperature likely near -15 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside the cave, frost built thick along the ceiling. Shivering became intermittent. This is dangerous. When shivering stops, core temperature may be falling too low. He slapped his arms repeatedly, pressed hands between thighs to preserve core heat. Time stretched into survival minutes. He thought rescue may not come. He accepted uncertainty and waited. Morning of day 4. He woke groggy, headache severe. He nearly stayed inside, but something compelled him to step out. Then a distant rhythmic thumping. Rotors. He stumbled out into blinding light. A helicopter crossed far above. He waved weakly. It passed, then banked sharply. The pilot had seen unnatural dark shapes against white snow. The aircraft circled. Hope flooded his system, adrenaline temporarily masking exhaustion. He attempted to move toward open space, collapsed halfway. Search crew landed nearby. They moved fast, wrapped him in thermal blankets, assessed extremities. Core temp low, but viable. He had survived 96 hours. The snow is 90 to 95% trapped air. Air is insulation. The cave trapped his body heat, blocked wind, reduced convective heat loss. Without it, exposure would have likely caused fatal hypothermia within hours. Later analysis showed 4 decisions saved his life. 1, he stopped moving once disoriented. 2, he built proper insulated shelter. 3, he conserved energy and created aerial markers. 4, he stayed near last known location. Without shelter, night 1 likely would have been fatal. Without staying put, search radius would have expanded exponentially. Without visible contrast markers, helicopter may have passed overhead. Preparation mattered, but decision-making mattered more. Hunter recovered, with mild hypothermia and frostnip. No amputations, no permanent injury. Survival changes perspective, but psychologically, survival changes you. Or you understand how thin the margin is, how fast comfort becomes crisis. Mountains don't hate you, they don't target you, they simply exist. Wyoming mountains remain the same: beautiful, cold, unforgiving, and indifferent to experience, and winter removes margin for error. If you want the next story, subscribe now so you don't miss the next survival story.